everybody. Great to see so many friends joining. Hello, Europe from Newcastle. Hi, this is exciting. I feel high temperature and shortness of breath. I don't know if it's excitement or maybe the coronavirus, but we have no testing here, so I don't know. Welcome to this. It's a expert seminar included in a strategic partnership, which is called Stories in Motion. You probably were reading. No bad jokes, please. I have no other jokes, Paul. Maybe change webinar. This has been 2 years of very inspiring work with my partners from Italy, Czech Republic, France, and Estonia, and we've been sharing tools and methods on how to use storytelling, working with adults in particular. And so today it's my time to share with you and with everybody else who will watch this later, how I use storytelling methods in my education work. In the meantime, it's great to see so many people joining, from Mark, which is England / France. I was reading your applications, guys, and it's fantastic how much enthusiasm we received. And we have people who applied coming from the world of education. We have trainers, we have scientists, we have artists, storytellers, journalists, digital media experts, tour guides, social workers, outdoor trainers, artists and performers, game designers, illustrators, psychologists, historians, and volunteers, and so much more. And I was so intimidated. I don't think I have something to change your life right now in 1 hour and a half, but let's hope that everybody finds some inspiration. This obviously is a first level webinar follow-up steps, because the reaction to this one was so good, it gave me the idea to start with a series of webinars starting from next week, where we can maybe work a little bit deeper and in smaller on the topic. In the meantime, hello and welcome to all those who are joining. So many of you know me probably from trainings before, we've met somewhere. My name is Carmine. I am sharing, I can share my screen with you because I have a little slide with my face and contacts. Yes, so you should see me now in all my glory. This is who I am. I started working in education already in 2002, initially, with young people and students in a city in central Italy called Viterbo. Not many people know it, not even some of the people who live there. And at the time, everything was different. Europe, my job was European education. I was going to schools, and I was telling the story of the European integration, how countries joined together after World War II to have a better future for themselves. And it was such a great story, such an inspiring story. Back then in 2002, countries were lining up to join the European Union, right? And now the feeling is countries are lining up to leave the European Union. So I've seen the entire narrative arc unfold under my eyes. I started in 2002. As I said, and I started to work as a youth worker and in education. And as it went on, I was wondering what was my superpower, what could be my ability that would define me as a communicator, as an educator, maybe as a trainer. And I was wondering, what is the thing that really defines me? And after some work, I found it in storytelling, which is such an easy thing to do because I think everybody is a storyteller. But stories have been defining my life, all my life. I've been loving stories, I've been learning stories, creating stories by myself and with my friends on so many different media, that then in the end, I decided to just embrace it. And so at some time between 2008, 2009, I started to profile myself as a trainer who uses stories and storytelling for learning. Now it's the main part of what I do professionally. I'm a writer. I write a blog. Here you can find the link where I celebrate the stories that I like. I write about the movies and the books and the games and the adventures that I like. I don't criticize. I don't like that side of blogging. I like celebrating, spreading the love for stories. I am a stand-up comedian. I didn't say funny, but I do perform in Prague where I live and in many other places across Europe. And there's my Facebook page if you want to follow. I publish small videos, what I can publish. I publish small videos from my shows. This is before coronavirus, yeah, when there were shows, live shows. And as a trainer, you also see my contacts there. So in short, this is who I am, a brief introduction of why I am here, I guess, talking to you. My passion after more than 10 years developing the topic, my passion transformed and grew. And I think I do this for two main reasons. One reason is I am witnessing, as many of you, I'm sure, I'm witnessing this generation of passive storytelling consumers. Especially now in times of epidemics, it's clear. So many people are maybe sitting on their sofa, they're bored, they don't know what to do, and they watch their entire Netflix catalog, and we criticize. And we are transforming into a couple of generations of just consumers of stories and critics. People complain about movies and TV series they didn't like, but storytelling is an essential human ability. Everybody is a storyteller. And so I want to bring back that ability where it belongs, which is into everybody's hearts. We all create stories, and very soon I want to engage you with a little exercise. We all are born storytellers. In fact, there are several theories for this, and one is that humans survived thanks to their ability to storytell, to tell stories. Humans who could first see patterns in the sky, for example, they were able to predict season changes. And this is why those humans survived and other humans died, which means we are those guys. We have the storytelling capacity, the storytelling gene, if you like, in us. So we are all born storytellers. It's a matter of bringing it back and, of course, exercising. So this is my motivation. I want to empower as many people as possible to be the stories, to be storytellers, and also a little bit change the passive attitude of a lot of people who are maybe just watching and complaining. I found that those who create content, those who create stories complain much less because creators have a respect for other creators somehow. So before we move on, as I mentioned, I wanted to propose a little exercise before I do. And I'm struggling with the bar. Can you hear me? Can I get? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, now I get 56. Yes. Okay, that's a yes. That's a yes. Thank you. So, little exercise. Imagine in classroom, because this is a training for trainers and educators. So, imagine in a classroom, this would be in small groups, maybe to your neighbor, maybe in a group of 3 or 4. But this would be a question to start, because I don't want you guys to sit and listen to me for 1 hour because it's a sermon, and that's not really what we're doing here. As I said, everybody's a storyteller. Can you share a story that is associated to your name? This is a very simple ice-breaking exercise, the story of your name, and it's in 1 minute. So really, if anybody feels like opening the microphone now, and for 1 minute, gift us with the sound of your voice, tell us what is your name and why. I have written instructions in case for the more visual of you. So I will now put them on the screen. So this is the story of your name. This is the exercise. And is there anybody who would like to try? Yeah, Trin, you raise your hand. Please unmute your microphone, and for 1 minute, we start with Trin, and for 1 minute, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes?
Okay. So my name is Trin, and I am originally from Estonia, living now in Portugal, Azores. And here in Azores, everybody's laughing about my name. Because Trin, they are saying that's not a name, it's a doorbell. So they call, yes, so they call me Trin if they need something. And normally, always when I introduce myself, I'm saying, hello, my name is Trin. They are saying, hello, you're what? So I always have to explain that Trin is actually a very Estonian name. Origin of the name is Katarina. And it was quite popular as well when there was a Russian Tsarina, Katarina, Russian queen. And as I have a sister, older sister, she got the first part of the name. Her name is Kati. And I was left with the rest, so my name is Trin.
Thank you very much, Trin. And also, great way to break the ice. As everybody else, we have now 55 people online watching. As everybody else has seen, this is as simple as it gets. Raise your hand. I see already more people, and the floor is yours. Laurent, we have Laurent. Share us in 1 minute the story of your name.
Hi, everyone. Actually, Laurent is a pretty cool first name. I didn't know it until years, but it actually means, I think it's laurel in English. It's a plant, and it's that plant they used to give to people who were doing like amazing victories in ancient Rome. So like emperors would get a crown made of gold, but like people who were nothing, they would get a crown out of laurel, that plant. So it means something like victory of the humble. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Laurent. That was fantastic, effective and inspiring and fun. We have Lina next. Lina, unmute. Yes.
Yes. Hello all. So my story is somehow sad. Like Lina in the Arabic language, I'm from Palestine. So Lina in the Arabic language means the small palm tree. But I was named after a martyr. Like my mom was in a demonstration, and the girl in front of her was killed by Israelis, and she was around 16 years old, 15 years old. So yeah, I was named after that martyr. So yeah, that's my story.
Well, thank you very much. And it's very personal and it's very true. Thank you. So you see, we're tracking, we're getting there. And it's so beautiful to see so many voices and so many accents. We have more time for maybe 1 or 2 more people, maybe 3, who would like to share in 1 minute the story of their name. Maria or Maria. Yes, please.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So, my full name is Maria Adamadia. And the reason for that is because my parents wanted to give me the name of my grandmother, who was Canadian, and her name was Madi. But the priest here in Greece didn't want to give me that name because it wasn't Christian, so I couldn't be baptized. So they combined 2 other names to have the result they wanted.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Maria. So it's Maria from Greece. So in these stories, we can already see family, history, politics, religion, tradition, all these big themes that make us human, and they connect us all. And this is just with a very simple question: tell a story, share a story about your name. We have Hoda. I hope I'm saying your name right. Please.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear myself?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. My name is Huda. It's Arabic and it means guide in a spiritual sense. The real name should be Noor El Huda. It means the light of the guide of the angels. And it's connected to light because also my twin sister means sunrise. And so we have this kind of connection to light and in a spiritual sense.
Thank you. You see how easy it is, and it's also inspiring. I hope it is inspiring for me. It is inspiring for you. It is certainly inspiring for me. I know some of you, and I don't know some of you, and I'm trying to imagine who are the people and how are their faces. I can hear people smiling as they share the story, or not smiling. So even in these very weird circumstances, everybody's in quarantine in different parts of the world. We are sharing emotions, and these emotions are real, which is a very good question. Sometimes when we talk about storytelling, are stories real? And I think they are 100% real. Stories shape our reality. In fact, I believe what I know. And what I know from stories. It's like every person, in my point of view, every person is like a glass. And this glass gets filled from the moment when we are little children. And it's filled with stories. And the stories carry value, carry information, carry history. And in the end, the person is this glass. And this is the person's reality. And this is a very important and hot topic today when we deal with prejudice, racism, intolerance, a topic that's very dear to me, anti-science. A lot of people believe science is even bad or wrong. And I don't blame this, but I want to investigate what are their stories. And as a trainer and a storyteller, I try to pay extra attention in the stories that I create and I share, because these stories will be filling a lot of people's glasses. To sum up, do we have another volunteer who wants to share a story about their name? Raise your hand. Oh, fantastic. Oh, Serena. I think I know who's Serena. Just a second. Yes, please.
Okay. Hi, I'm Serena. So the history about my name is that my mother, that was a French teacher, had a very good student called Serena when she was pregnant. So she decided to give me this name. But the other history about my name is that the first daughter she had was really energetic. So she decided to give me the name Serena, that in Italian means calm, like a wish for the second daughter.
Did it work? Are you calm?
Yeah, well.
It's a wish. Thank you very much, Serena. Thank you so much. So you see, as a little takeaway, this is already a very simple exercise, an icebreaker that can be done in a group setting or in small groups. And more or less everybody has a story from their name. It happens that sometimes people are completely paralyzed and they don't know, but maybe they know the meaning of their name. Maybe they know the etymology, or maybe they know somebody who inspired their parents. It's a very introductory question, but it can work. And moving on, I have prepared a story from a professional. So let's see how the pro guys are doing it. Yes, so this is a little storytelling, of course, in a workshop on storytelling. And this is a short story. Imagine this is 100 words, only 100 words, written by Neil Gaiman, who is a very popular author, and many people will probably know. He made Sandman, the comics, but he's also been working with movies and TV series, Stardust, Good Omens, and much, much more. He's British. And so the short story is titled Nicholas Was. And I will read it. I see a lot of people are going wild about Neil Gaiman. He's also one of my favorite authors, and maybe that's why I chose it. So I will read the story, but I will also share the screen so you guys can follow, because the words are very important. So you should be able to see it on screen now. Nicholas was older than sin, and his beard could grow no whiter. He wanted to die. The dwarfish natives of the Arctic caverns did not speak his language, but conversed in their own twittering tongue, conducted incomprehensible rituals when they were not actually working in the factories. Once every year, they forced him, sobbing and protesting, into endless night. During the journey, he would stand near every child in the world, leave one of the dwarf's invisible gifts by its bedside. The children slept, frozen into time. He envied Prometheus and Loki, Sisyphus and Judas, because his punishment was harsher. Ho, ho, ho. And that's the story. Sorry for the moment, I was checking the chat in case there was some feedback for me, but I see there isn't. So this is a short story by Neil Gaiman. It's 100 words, and it tells an entire story. Did you get it? I will again share the screen, but before we go there, I want your feedback. And so for that, I want to use another tool, which is called Jamboard. Many of you will be familiar with it. It's a Google G Drive function in which we can stick Post-its, basically virtual Post-its. So I will now put in chat the link to the Jam. So if you got the story, if you understood the story, if you got something from the story, and if you think it was a good story, why was it a good story? And in a second, because I'm getting the link, I will put it here so that you can open. Google is too heavy and it's not giving me the link. Well, I guess that's the joy of digital work. Don't get the link to share with you, but in the meantime, because I see that a lot of people are sharing one more name story. Can you write in the chat why you loved Nicholas Was? Can I share the screen again? Yes, I can. Just a second. You should be able to see now the beginning. It is in 100 words, so it even actually fits one screen. Economy of words. I loved it because it held me into the story until the very end, says Panagiota. It offers an alternative perspective, which is crucial for my work, says Paul. Trin says different approach. The twist, Laurent. Unexpected way to see things, Trin. Bara, ho ho ho, came as a surprise at the end, but also revealed who Nicholas is. That's right. Background to my pan-European character, says Annie, linked to the Greek myth. Tight writing gives images and feelings. Pictures and images, says Maria. Paul, it challenges assumptions. Zoriana, the language is picturesque, which again means brings pictures alive. Breaking stereotypes, Antonis. This is just fantastic, guys. Thank you very much. Keep coming because you're doing the workshop for me. And also, this also shows that everybody knows what a good story is. We all need a little bit of priming. Why did we like this story? Metaphors, mythical figures, genius use of fantasy, says Lilla. Adriana, it tells both something about him as a human in the first and the last line, and in the middle it tells the context. It's simple but captivating language with metaphors like frozen into time. Thank you. I will take a few notes because this is really, really good. The Disney ending is nice, ho, ho, ho. But sometimes the more dark ending is a reality check. So I just add this in case some people are really confused and they're thinking, what the hell are they talking about? The Nicholas in the story is Santa Claus, yes, and the spoiler alert. And the point is, he's not really happy to be Santa Claus. He's a slave. And the elves are actually evil, and he works for them as a slave. He doesn't love Christmas. He's a slave, and he wants to die. There is a very strong call to adventure at the beginning. It's actually the third line, Nicholas wants to die. And this is, for me, incredibly interesting. I never wondered for a second if Santa is happy or he laughs because he has to. So thank you very much. This is just a short story, actually super short, in 100 words, but it tells a complete arc. And I chose this story because it illustrates in a very beautiful way so many characteristics of a good story, and you guys made a fantastic work in summing it up. If I had access to Google right now, I would also invite you to collect them together, but I don't. I don't, and that's also the reality of working life and digital work, I guess. So what are my notes on this? Storytelling is great, and we as humans developed it for a number of reasons. One of them is the necessity that many of us have to create something. We need to create something, and that's why art was born. And storytelling just lets everybody do that. And you can do it only with your words, which is an incredible magic power. Maybe I'm checking the chat. Maybe you can tell us the name of the app and we can upload the link here. No, the problem is Google, because it's G Drive, doesn't generate the link. So I cannot give you the link because I have it now. I can now. Just a second. So I will now put it I want to write here. Here you should see a link in the chat by me. And if you click on that, you should be able to access a board. I don't mind using another 10 minutes for this, but it's also, I think, good to learn another digital tool, which is one of the objectives we have. So let's do that. If you guys are able to access the board, I really hope you are now, using the link I put in the chat, you see it's like a real board, and you can, yeah, I see a lot of people joining, so it's working. Yay. Use sticky notes, of course, virtual sticky papers, and write in a few words, why is it a good story? Just write the main words because we want to move on. And Mark says, even if it doesn't, that's the magic of stories. They all connect. Yes, yes. I love it. Thank you, Julia. I don't know if you mean the story or the Jamboard. But love is a good thing. It's view only. Thank you for the feedback. Let me see, what can I do? Well, it's a server problem, guys. It keeps telling me the server is blocked. So let's move on. This is live television, everybody. Let's move on. You know how the tool works. In an ideal world, you would be able to now put your words in sticky notes, and that would create a very colorful background here on the board. But let's move on. Cool tool, the Jamboard. Yes, there you go. I know, guys. It's the same problem for everybody. It's because the server, we broke Google somehow. The server doesn't work. So I like the work of Neil Gaiman because it's also, he's not afraid to get dark sometimes. The story, in fact, the story of Santa has a very dark beginning and a very dark end. He wants to die, and he's a children icon, and he's a slave. He works for these evil creatures. This is a topic very often brought also into my workshops. And many of you work with very young people or maybe even children. Should we, where is the limit? Should we be willing to explore maybe darker areas with our storytelling, and how much? Of course, everybody is an expert. You know your answer. My personal answer is, I don't think we should be afraid, because stories are there to help us grow and to help us explore human life. And in human life, sadly, there is horror. And sometimes there is violence, and there is certainly a lot of conflict. It's in the way we do it, of course. A great way to say it is the stories, the dragon appears in stories not to scare children, but to teach children that the dragon can be defeated. But a good villain, a good dragon makes a good story. And if you look at the most successful stories, even in contemporary pop culture, from Star Wars to Harry Potter, they have great enemies, because we do have great challenges in our life. And so storytelling is a powerful tool to teach us that. Before moving on to another chapter, this is all an area about creativity. I said storytelling is important and is an ability humans have to create something. So for all of you, I know some of you are already professional storytellers, artists, journalists, narrators, illustrators. You already know. For everybody else, do not be afraid to start, because we do have this ability to create. It's in us. What stops us very often is the fear of failure or the fear of judgment. And so that's where we need to work. It's actually, we need to work on the fear of failure or the fear of judgment. A very good starting point is to have a group of friends and colleagues who are all creators. Because as I mentioned at the beginning, creators will tend to be more generous, more supportive, and more tolerant. Because creators know how hard it is to create something and to basically expose yourself to other people's judgment. People will judge you. People will say you're worthless, you don't have talent, you're stupid. Go on. Because when you're creating art, you're connecting yourself to something bigger and maybe permanent. So you're a bridge. And if you're a bridge, you don't have to be afraid that others will walk on you. That's the purpose of a bridge. On the other hand, once you choose, because another interesting aspect of storytelling is nowadays there are so many ways. Many people focus on the telling part. So storytelling is verbal telling, and it's true. Certainly it's true in my case, but it's not limited to telling stories. People can tell fantastic stories by drawing, by illustrating, by creating a documentary, or by making music and video games, and so on and so on. I'm good with words, but I'm great with pictures. So try. You will never know unless you try. And once you find your craft, get good. It requires daily exercise, daily practice. Just like if one wants to become a very good football player or violin player or cook, you have to do it, and you have to do it every day. And you consume resources. You read a book, and then you move to another book, and then you watch a movie, and then you watch another TV series, and all the stories that you process will become part of you. Sometimes people ask me, oh, but how do you know this great short story to start your workshop? Well, I know because once I read it and once I watched it. There is no other way. The stories that I learn become part of me and will be there when I need them. And that's a great thing. Stories never die. Mark mentioned before, the stories are all connected, and this is true. They talk to each other through centuries. There is a strong connection between Greek myth and Harry Potter, for example. Even in some of the characters, Harry receives education by a centaur, half man, half horse. But he was also, a centaur was also the teacher of Hercules. So Harry Potter is actually the same myth as ancient Hercules in the Greek myth. And people don't need to know to understand the connection, because the connection is older than any of us, and it's there. It's part of our collective knowledge, and maybe even collective unconscious. Choose your medium and really master it. Get good. There is a book by, I forgot the name, I will put it in the links, but it's the Tipping Point, and it's a very, very popular essay. Many of you will be familiar. And the point of the essay is that people need 1,000 hours to really master one job. Whatever your job is, 1,000 hours. So if you want to become a great storyteller, and right now you're not, it's okay, don't worry. And just ask yourself, outliers. Thank you, Eda. It's actually outliers. And if you remember the name of the author, please write it, because at the moment I don't. Ask yourself, how many hours did you actually put in the exercise? And that's all, without judging yourself. It just means you need to get better. When I started stand-up comedy, and still now, I was Malcolm Gladwell, thank you very much. It's a fantastic group to work with. When I started stand-up comedy, I was so clumsy on stage, and I still am. I film myself, and then I go home and I watch myself in shame. But that's the only way to improve. And then I watch the pro. You know, I watch the professionals on YouTube or on Netflix, and I'm like, oh my God, they're good, and I'm not. I'm shit. I will never be good. But then what helps me is to think that those guys have been doing it for 35 years. And that's all the difference. It really is all there. They have been doing one thing for 30 years, and I haven't. So, of course, some people are geniuses and they are incredibly talented for one thing, and I'm happy if you are. But for all of us who are not, exercise and practice. And it takes time. So I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to lecture you. We all have very busy lives with family, other commitments, and work and bills to pay. but try to find some time and keep that flame burning, because that's the only way to go. Good. So this was a little bit the first part of how I try to use storytelling for creativity. A lot of it I find has to do with personal coaching and just letting people try. We had the exercise about the story of our names, and people wanted more. People immediately wanted more. I had questions. Can we have more stories, please? Because that's just how good it is. I also have another topic that I think we can cover today. Oh, on that topic, I actually have a little vignette I want to show you, a little comic that I found. So I will now share my screen with you so you can have a look. I think this illustrates very well the creative process that every creator goes through. Yeah, I see people got it, accurate, ha ha ha, wonderful, true story of my life. It is the story of everybody who ever created something. And also, from the technical point of view, have a look at what it is a very good story. It tells an entire arc from the beginning of the inception of the idea to the crisis in the middle to the end. So there is a dramatic arc in 16 very simple vignettes. And the artist is an illustrator. I don't know her. I found this online on Facebook. I'm sure many of us can try to have this style of comics, but you see how it's possible to tell a very good story. Stare into the abyss. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the abyss will look back into you. It's the panic that we all know. Yeah, the moment of panic when we go, oh, I should just stop this. I'm not good enough. The other people know it so well. Why am I doing this? So, yes, thank you, Panagiotta, for the quote by Douglas Adams. I love deadlines. I love the whooshing noise they make as they go by. True. And now, another topic I wanted to share with you is how I use personal storytelling for growth and for personal development. I think we have time for this, and then it's basically conclusions and next steps. So if you know me in person, you know that I'm a big fan of one narrative model that's called the hero's journey. And for those who know and those who don't, I have a short video. It's 5 minutes. I want to share it with you just to be on the same page. Give me just a sec. Sorry, guys, I'm having a problem. I don't think you're seeing my screen right. Aha, I found it. Sorry guys, I'm having, oh, here. Right. So I will share again my screen with you, and you should be able to also get the audio. Thank you. I got your feedback, and yet I did share my audio. Wait a sec. Let's find out. Yes, there are subtitles. I'm sure I did somewhere activate the share audio, but it doesn't seem to be working. Let me try a very silly experiment, and if not, bear with me, there will be the subtitles. We're getting very creative here. Okay. So whether this was the first time for you to learn about this model, or if you heard it 15 times, maybe from me or from other speakers, or in your work, or maybe you use it yourself, which is fairly possible since you're all passionate about the topic. When I first came across, I want to talk about the hero's journey a little bit. When I first came across this model, probably some 10 years ago, it went deep into me because, as I mentioned, I love stories. And so I was already an expert, like everybody is. And then I did what I do. I started to devour everything that exists: books, media, studies, essays, experiences abroad, experiential trainings, until I really embodied it and it became part of me. I have it tattooed in different parts of my bodies in different versions. So this is really an important part of my story. The model was developed by an American anthropologist called Joseph Campbell. I will write the name in the notes. In his book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. And this is really a very, very recommended reading, if not only because of the writing, because it's incredibly poetic, and I think every page brings insight, but also if you want to learn about the model, maybe go directly to the source. So here is the name of the author and the book. He was very much influenced by previous authors, and I want to mention Vladimir Prop. So for those of you who love sources and books and resources, you can find more. He studied the morphology of fairy tales. He was a Russian anthropologist, and he started Eastern European and Central European fairy tales in particular. And then Joseph Campbell wrote his book. Campbell was also influenced by Carl Gustav Jung and his work on archetypes and collective unconscious. So basically, the idea is we all come with these stories inside, because this is what we hear since we are little children, maybe from fairy tales, maybe from cartoons, movies, or maybe the national epic, myth, religion. In a way or another, they tell a version of the story. Joseph Campbell was the first one to realize, and he was really doing a study comparing traditions from all around the world, from Australia to Central America to Central Africa to Scandinavia, collecting traditional stories together. A more modern version is by Christopher Vogler, and he wrote The Rider's Journey. And this is a very modern reading, and he uses examples from Hollywood movies. Christopher Vogler was a consultant for Disney. For example, he consulted on Finding Nemo. And what he did, he adapted Joseph Campbell's work for contemporary storytellers and Hollywood. And this is why when you watch these big Hollywood movies, you will see the hero's journey, sometimes to the letter. Sometimes it's even used as a cliche, and that's when it stops working. So I think it really describes well every learning and every changing experience, every transformation. We can use it for a week as an example of a week. We can use it as an example of an experience abroad, like EVS or the Solidarity volunteering abroad. If you think about 6 months or maybe 1 year, it can be a school year, it can be a school semester, it can be a lifetime even. And the beauty of it is it never ends. Yep, thank you, Panagiota. Yes, it's available online. I can also share the PDF if you send me a personal message. I have the PDF. It is available online. Read it in English if you are very familiar with English, or find it in your own language, because every page is really a concentrate of stories, and it's very well written, very beautiful to read. So it's the essence of transformation and change. And in order to have transformation, we have to go through challenges. I was so touched by it that I started to develop modules and then later trainings completely focused on these. And it essentially is a storytelling model. It can be used in one day, but it works even better on a longer period. So for example, on a weekend or 3 days. And this is how we would do it. We meet, imagine we meet with a group, we meet on a Friday, and we share stories, we bond together a little bit, we learn why we are there, what is our motivation. And this somehow represents, there is always a moment at the beginning of a great story when the heroes sit around the fire and they share stories, and maybe they laugh a little bit, maybe they drink a little bit. They are nervous about the adventure, but they are ready, they're getting ready. And then we go into the adventure. The central day of the adventure, Saturday, for example, would be a very big day outdoors. Very often in these methodologies, we use nature and outdoors because when we go out, we go in. And this is a paradox, but it's true for many of us, certainly for me. We're not so much used to going outside so much. I am certainly not. I was grown up as a city boy. I'm a city boy. I was born in Napoli. It's a huge metropolitan area, overcrowded. So when going out to the nature, we experience things sometimes for the first time. We see things in a very beautiful way. And I've done it with people of all ages, from children to grown-ups, like real grown-ups. And a lot of people are afraid of nature, just being outside, spending time in a forest. I'm not talking about extreme environments, just a forest. While a city is much more dangerous than a forest. Yeah, there is no doubt whether Milano at night is more or less dangerous than a forest. Milano is more dangerous. But for more people, it's just a matter of what you know, what is familiar for you. So we have a very big day outdoors. And then the night, we invite people to spend the night out alone, or Napoli, for sure. During the night, we invite people to spend the night out in the forest alone. And this element of isolation, which is very scary for many people, is important because it represents challenge. And when we face a challenge, very often we are alone. Even when we are with people, we're facing our own personal fears and our own personal challenge. So, of course, there is safety and there is security in place, and I will come to that in a second. But the idea is try to stay outside alone. You don't have to spend the entire night. Try to see what is your comfort zone, challenge your comfort zone a little bit, and then be back. And the morning after, Sunday, we would meet all together and share the stories. What happened yesterday? And this simple question, this simple trigger question, what happened yesterday, usually brings incredible stories because people activate their storytelling superpowers. And the very mundane experience of being out in the forest, first with your friends and then alone, through our brain is processed into these legendary adventures. And you see references to history, tradition, mythology, pop culture, all coming together. And it is really a transformative experience. And a lot of people experience change. And as I said before, it doesn't matter if it's real or not, because it's real in that moment. And the effects can be permanent. I know some of you participants here, like Paul, has been with me in these weekend-long trainings based on the hero's journey. And people sometimes use it also to take important decisions for their life. If they're ready to move to another city or to start a family or to leave your job and take another job, because this is the essence of a rite of passage. And I will very quickly mention what a rite of passage is. A rite of passage is a tradition, is a ceremony or a ritual that traditional cultures use to mark a passage between one stage of life and another. In our contemporary society, we still have, imagine a graduation or a marriage, we still have ceremonies to mark before and after. But in our traditional societies, these ceremonies were really strong, sometimes dangerous. And they were necessary, because to become an adult means, or so we thought, to be willing to face danger, to take the responsibility. When the European anthropologists were visiting South America or Africa, and they were witnessing the rites of passage, sometimes brutal, that people performed in the 19th century, they were shocked. Imagine European anthropologists, they were shocked. And they were asking, like, well, don't you think this is brutal? Sometimes people can die. But the answer of the local was equally brutal and honest. It was, yes, sometimes young people die, and it's a terrible tragedy, and all the community stops when this happens. But for us to have adults who are not ready to be adults would be worse, even in terms of human lives. And I think this carries such a profound and crucial lesson, because this will be my personal opinion here, but we have a lot of people in leading position in the world who are not adults. And this is causing a lot of trouble, death on a massive level. We see it right now in times of coronavirus. I don't need to tell you. So this is how powerful storytelling is. This is actually storytelling, because I'm going out, I spend the night out in the woods, and there is nothing to it, right? There is nothing, but my mind starts to create a story and why it is important. And then I come back, and then my community meets me and they celebrate me. And through that, the experience becomes real. And I know that I am now an adult, and I can walk on a different path of life. So this is the transformative power of storytelling and storytelling experiences. And sometimes I use it in my work, not all the time, because it's heavy, but I want to use a few words. I want to spend a few words with you because, well, we are here now, and I want to tell you what not to do. I see also some other people are referencing it. Thank you very much. It is a life-changing experience. And I want to invite everybody, if this is somehow resonating with you, if this is touching you somehow, go online, find resources, read the books, and maybe do it, try it on your own skin first. Because I've also seen these methods used in a wrong way. And I will not be afraid to use the word wrong, because this can be dangerous. There are several levels of safety. One is the physical safety. You are sending people out and they need to be safe. So you need to have a very good team. You need to have a very good checklist. You need to have safety precautions, maybe a car, and depending where you are, maybe a helicopter. So sending people out in nature can be bad, can have consequences. And I've seen sometimes things are done let's say in a very, very naive way. But even more than physical, the thing can have psychological consequences, because very often we don't know all the history of our participants. They come because they want an adventure, but we don't know their personal story. And even if we ask, sometimes they don't tell us. So be extra careful and spend time with participants before. Don't just throw them out. If you see that something is wrong, stop the process, or maybe stop the process for a particular person. Everybody else will understand. Invest in the group so that people start to look after each other and it's not all on you, and have a team with you that's very strong, experienced, and they have backgrounds that complete your background. It really helps to have people who are trained in psychotherapy, psychologists, first aid, maybe a medical doctor. Because when dealing with outdoors, and this is not only physical, but also psychological challenge, things can go wrong. And the last thing we want is to bring a traumatizing experience to an individual or a group. So storytelling is great and it's fun, but it also can go so deep. And I want to warn you, if you are advanced users and you really want to see how deep the rabbit hole goes, do it responsibly. Amen. I know I can get quite preachy, but this is very important for me. And since it's such a personal topic, I want that people get it right. And I want to share the enthusiasm, but at the same time, the respect for this tradition and these methods. And we are approaching the end. Thank you so much, guys. I still see 57 people online right now. Before we open questions and answers, I'll be very happy to answer as many as we can. There is maybe one last topic I wanted to touch on, and it's science education. This would be the next topic I want to develop professionally, because I think there is a strong need for educating people to critical thinking, and science is critical thinking expanded, and also to scientific literacy, just understanding how science works. And what is science. And a great way to do it is through storytelling. I'm sure all of you are familiar. In every country, there is one TV show that does a great job at doing science popularizing. In the US, it started in 1980 with Cosmos, which was a legendary TV show narrated and produced by Carl Sagan. Lauren, it's my pleasure. So I will put a few links here again for those of you who want to experiment. Cosmos in 1980 was narrated and produced by Carl Sagan, who was a genius. Carl Sagan was one of the leading minds in NASA, and he was behind the Voyager project. So they were sending space probes to the edge of the solar system. They're still there right now. They're flying. But he was also a great people's person. He was a popularizer. He would have free lessons in elementary school to teach science to children, because he understood. He was an environmentalist, very, very big environmentalist in 1980, because he already knew. And he knew that he needed to expand the messages of science to everybody, and people from poor neighborhoods. He would go and give lectures for free, which was fantastic. You can still find Cosmos on YouTube. Of course, it's a 1980 TV series, so be ready to see some very different storytelling. Special effects were barely there, computer graphics, but the story and the quality is fantastic. There is also a book with the same title by the same author. Much, much later, I think it was 2016, the second season of Cosmos was released, and this time is narrated by Neil deGrasse Tyson, which many of you would know. He's an astrophysicist, very popular in the US. I'm using American sources not because they are the best. Sometimes they are, but not because they're the best, but because they're in English language, right? So we can all relate. But I'm sure in every country there are equally good sources. I know the Italian one with the Angela family. So in 2016, the second edition was released, Curiosity. This one was produced by the Family Guy producer. But this is not comedy. This is science education, very well made, with very good special effects and very well narrated by Neil deGrasse Tyson. And just this year, in 2020, the third season is out. I don't think this is available for free. I mean, if you're skilled, you can find it for free. But this is also a critical aspect in storytelling. If you like something, buy the ticket. I love that culture can be free, and I think it should be free, but I also think storytellers should be able to live off their work. And so if you like something, buy the ticket, support the creators, because we need creators, as a pandemic is here to teach us, to show us. So find Cosmos 2 and Cosmos 3. They're just great in telling so many different stories about science from the beginning of science to modern days. And this is also how you get the anecdotes that you can use with your groups. You can maybe learn how optics were developed in Bavaria, or how somebody was experimenting with radiations in Poland, and that somebody became Marie Curie. And these are the bits that really sparkle the interest of everybody, regardless of age and background. Human stories that connect us. So this is science education. And I do one thing I will show you from my personal blog. There is one activity that I didn't create, so I don't want to claim credit, but I compiled. Like I put together a lot of different sources and information and traditions, and I made this. I now share my screen with you so you can see. It's called the Earth Walk. Again, some of you are familiar with the concept. They have done it with me, or they've done it with some other very talented trainers. On my personal blog, I put the entire script online, so it's all for you to experiment and explore the Earth Walk. What basically is a long walk that you can do outdoors. Maybe it takes 4 hours. And while doing the walk, you are narrating the story of planet Earth. And if you have a 5 kilometer loop, ideally, you can do it so that every meter equals 1 million years, because the story of planet Earth is 4.5 billion years, so it makes sense. And as you walk, you stop. When there is something relevant, you stop at specific times, and you can tell your group what happened at that time. And so you go from the very beginning of the planet Earth being just a ball of fire to consolidating to the firm life forms, the first life forms appearing, and then photosynthesis appearing. And we have done it, if you're able to see the pictures, we've done it in a lot of different environments. This was in Tenerife on the Vulcano. This actually is in Slovenia, this one. This is in Czech Republic in winter. And it's a great walk outside. It bonds people together. It's a fantastic walk, and you learn a lot. Again, this is Slovenia. It was, or maybe this was Portugal. I'm old, I'm confusing. And when you stop, you can use what you have in the landscape, and you can narrate story. For example, this is a trilobite fossil. If you're in an area rich with fossils, you can tell people where these fossils come from which era, how the stones were created, where they were created, and so on. So this is a great way I use, well, this is not an actual picture, but this is when the dinosaurs appear and everybody's excited because dinosaurs. And then the mammals, and then human history. One of the main learning points is that human history appears in the last 2 minutes. So you're walking for 5 hours, and in the last 2 minutes you tell, and now humans appear, and now this is us. And this helps sometimes to put things in perspective, because we think history of Earth is actually our history, but it's anything but. We're just the last passengers on a very big ship that's traveling through space. And we are here now, but it doesn't mean this is our thing. And this is another experience I can share. Yes, Zolt. Yes, exactly. And I see so many people loved it, and I'm very, maybe that's the reason why you're here. Yes, from Annie to Ivana to Zolt, maybe that's the reason why you're here now. So this is an experience maybe we have done 5 years ago, and it's still so strong in you. I hope you got elements from it. I think one of the problems in science is that sometimes scientists only talk to themselves. I read articles and I read publications and I don't understand them. And I think I am literate enough, like communication is my life, and I don't understand what I read. And I think this is a very, very big problem, because if I don't understand, general public will not even start. And if general public doesn't even start, then we believe that the earth is flat, vaccinations are evil, and 5G brings coronavirus. Or that coronavirus was fabricated in a lab, and all the crazy stories that we see, they all make sense, because I want to go back to the beginning. It depends on the glass. It depends on what people put in their glass. So as a storyteller and as an educator, I want to bring drinks to communities that are healthy. I want to preach, but I want that the drinks are healthy and transparent and clear. Azores is the best place because it's a young place. That's true. That's true, Trin. Thank you very much. So, this was me talking to you for about 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I'm sure we just scratched the surface, but this was an introductory workshop, and after all, we have nothing else to do because we are under quarantine, right? I want to give at least maybe 20 minutes of time to questions and answers. If you have anything you want to ask me, now is the time. Eda, thank you so much. It was great to hear you, well, read you again, and remember the spirit of Scotland. Thank you. A few questions, and then I will conclude with contacts and follow up. Kylie, will there be a live stand-up by you soon? Live as in physical presence, we have to wait for the end of quarantine. I did a solo show in Prague at the end of February, and it was 1 hour show. It was great. Things were looking up, and then this happened. But yeah, hopefully, yes. I'm putting videos on my Facebook page, so just follow that for now. Oh, we have a question in the question section. Nowadays, Chiara asks, nowadays everybody wants to tell stories, but nobody listens. I wonder, why should we keep adding to the chaos? What is the added value? Thank you so much. I actually I don't know if I agree with that one. I don't think everybody wants to tell stories. I think everybody wants to criticize other people's stories. If I open a Facebook post and I ask, hey guys, what do you think about the last Star Wars movie? I'm gonna have 300 comments, most of them full of hate. But not so many of these people are actually story creators. A lot of people are just story consumers. And I think this is something I may have mentioned at the beginning. The challenge is go out and tell your story, even if 3 people want to listen to it. It's not chaos, it's sure, there's a big background noise. Find your audience, and maybe at the beginning, as we all started, start with a small group. 3 people you meet in a place, and you have a story circle. This is how Frankenstein was written. This is an interesting story. It was a quarantine, not a virus quarantine, but an environmental quarantine. 4 people met in a cottage in Switzerland, and they had a competition on writing scary stories. And Frankenstein was written there. Zolf asks, how do you explain things for those who are completely on the other opinion and don't want to read and understand your point of view and source? Oh, thank you very much. This is very political. I don't have an answer to that. I cannot give you my answer. I don't explain things, because when the spectrum is so polarized, I cannot go to a person on the other field, whatever the other field means, and change their mind. Certainly, I cannot do it online. Certainly not online. I don't argue online. I keep telling my story. In person, it's a little bit different, because you can have a very strong impact on the people that live with you or that you meet day by day. But online, I don't argue, I don't engage. It's a huge waste of time. But what I do, I keep telling my stories, and I keep telling my stories in my way, because I want to create an audience, and I want to fill the glass with what I know. And I'm not saying that I'm right and they're wrong, because this is also dangerous. But I want to see some values in the world, and I keep propagating those values through my work. Because nowadays, and I know you write from Hungary, nowadays the spectrum is so polarized, but there are a lot of people in the middle, and that middle very often is the majority. So I want to bring more and more people to my side of the story. And I don't know if it works. I know what is not working. What is not working is attacking people. Maybe people who have a limited experience and a limited point of view, but they're angry, and their anger is real. Calling them stupid, calling them fascists, and calling them assholes will not bring them to my cause. So this is not working. And it's only my answer. I have 2 more questions. Wow, thank you very much, guys. So I will go to Isabeau. Remembering your work in Czech Republic, how interesting you are in science education. I'd love to learn more about how to use storytelling for science education. Thank you. So this is what I'm trying to do next. And I know that there are people here in this group that are scientists or have a scientific background. I think it's a two ways. I think it's a two ways process. One is me as a non-scientist. I have to learn hard science and I have to educate myself on the scientific thinking and scientific method. And on the other hand, scientists have to learn how to deliver their stories to a wider audience. And games and playing and engaging and interacting and inviting people. I imagine a learning experience as a dinner buffet, and a lot of people want to eat the food. I don't want, if people come and I'm the only one eating, it's not a great party. So everybody will have to be able to find something that they like and they can touch. Finger food is great, and experience. This would be my beginning of an answer to you, Isabel. Adriana, talking about not missing the chances of the corona crisis, what kind of stories do we need to support the transformation? Heroes, learning stories, concrete examples of powerful storylines. What can or should media or other storytellers in public do? Guys, I think, Adriana, for example, I follow your work. I think what we do is what needs to be done a bit more. So we need more people. That's why I work on storytelling. I want that more people share their stories. And they're not just passive consumers or disencouraged because things will never change. Things always change. Look at coronavirus. Look in 2 months how everything changed. Things always change. Powerful stories, inspiring stories, stories of hope. I know I'm brutalizing your questions. There are not one of these questions could be expanded in 3 hours. But just the tip of the iceberg. If people strongly disagree with you, sometimes Isabel says a good approach is to listen what they are saying or not saying and addressing the fears and anxieties. True. For example, the fear of 5G causing COVID-19. True. Addressing the fears and anxieties. People don't hate immigrants. People hate being poor. People hate unemployment. That's what they hate. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you very much, Isabel. I agree. Paul, regarding changing the opinions, there are 3 groups: the people who completely agree, the people who don't and will never agree, and everyone else. From a campaign point of view, focus on group 3. And storytelling, especially making it relevant, seems to be a very effective way to reach the group. If you look at Brexit, US election, and French election, those are examples of storytelling, yes, guys, and they work. They have worked. Another thing I want to say, maybe in conclusion, don't lose hope. Many of us experienced a shift to the right or to the ultra-right in Slovenia, in Hungary, in the US. These processes probably took 20 years. We cannot think to change things in 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 years. We need constant work, constant pressure, discipline, and concentrated effort also. So that my message will resonate with your message, will resonate with your message, and we all create a different narrative. And maybe it needs 10, 15 years. Do we have 10, 15 years? That's another story. We cannot discuss that today. European Union is so bad at telling their story. So bad. We should learn from China or Russia. Guys, thank you so much. This was 1.5 hours, and I think this was enough for everybody. For me, it's been a privilege and an honor also to record this session, so it will be there for many, many more. Oh, one last question I have, and yes, great. Mark, can you tell us about great stories about youth work? Oh, you mean other than my story? I need to think about that for a second. But yes, of course, and maybe this person, I don't want to say the name, but this is a good friend of mine now, and he was a European volunteer, and we met in his training, and through the power of games and experience and non-formal learning and hero's journey, he was able to turn his entire life upside down. He went through a healing process, getting rid of an addiction, and now he's a youth worker. And he's such an inspiration to everybody. He opened a YouTube channel. He's a youth worker. And he's just such a beacon of hope and positive energy. I don't want to say the name again, but this is true. And I'm sure any of you who are active in education and youth work have these stories to draw upon. Don't think we are alone. We're not alone. Thank you, guys. I just want to end, before everybody runs away, I just want to end with this. I am planning, starting from next week, I'm planning for a follow-up series of workshops for people who would like to go deeper into these topics. And they will be small groups, so 12 people maximum, and they will really be interactive, an opportunity to practice and learn and share, 12 people maximum. There will be, I think, I will ask a small fee because I think it's fair. But again, starting from next week, and I will do 3 workshops for a group. And if there is a lot of demand, I will be happy to do reruns. I will now share with you the information. And then it will also be on my Facebook page. So if you want to do more, there will be the opportunity to meet and practice 3 times every week, and form a little learning group. I'm trying to share my screen. Thank you, guys. It's fantastic for me as well. I'm just trying to share my screen for the last time. It's not always easy. Yeah, so just a sec. There. So I will put these online soon, starting next week, every Thursday night, and I will do a series of 3 workshops. There is a little price, but I'm sure you understand it's fair. And the first workshop will be focusing on creativity and story creation. In the second workshop, we'll go deeper into personal development and growth through storytelling. And the third one will be comedy and humor. So how to use comedy and humor in storytelling, and maybe how not to. I'm a very good example of how not to sometimes. So this is the series. You can find there, of course, you can contact me directly if you have questions. And here you find on screen, you see the short URL directly to go online and do the registration, but I will also put it online on my profiles following this chat. Thank you. And I will now go briefly to the chat again to see what are the latest developments. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. It's been great, a great way to spend an afternoon. I was very happy and nervous to see so many people, and it's great to see so much participation from your side, new friends and old friends. I love you all. I'm happy, Julia, it was productive, very useful. Ivana, thank you very much. I hope to see you again soon. Informative, inspiring, insightful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Simon. A pleasure for me. Alessandra as well. Deborah, thank you. Esther, thank you. Thank you very much. Another time, thanks. So if you want to know more, you know where to find me, and I will put this offer online. And I think that's it for me. Thank you.